Yo, 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 what's good people? This is Milton Spence with Milton's Coaching Corner. As you see here, those of you who can see, if you haven't seen it if you haven't followed me on YouTube yet, I suggest you do that there so that you can see the podcast, or on Spotify. That way you can also see the podcast. And you'll see that I'm down here in beautiful Fort Lauderdale Beach, Florida, doing this podcast today on relationships. I was inspired to come down here because one thing that I'm understanding and overstanding is that it takes a special relationship with yourself. It takes a special relationship with God, and it also takes a special relationship to understand that there is no fear in doing the things that you have the ideas to do that are morally sound, and also have good grounding in faith and have good grounding in very good morality, not based upon evil, not based upon anything that has anything other than to do with the best piece of who and what you are and what comes from you. So that's what this month is about. This month I'm speaking on relationships. I'm speaking on what God has guided me to speak on is, having or how to have better relationships. I'm right here, down here at the water, and I have to say that having a relationship with the water, right? If any of you can attest to this, it's something about when you get around a body of water that kind of helps you bring all of this into focus. It's something about being in the environment, having people around, seeing people. I got people walking by and they're on their phones. I got people walking by looking down. The relationships with self is very evident, even though a lot of people would like to shame or somehow exclaim that it's a negative. A negative that people have so much attention on their cell phones, a negative that people have so much attention elsewhere. I for one am of the school of thought that it's never really changed. I feel like we've kind of just traded things in for other things, such as we've traded in the newspaper for cell phones, we've traded in the computer for cell phones, and so on and so forth, right? So gaming consoles and so on and so forth. And I know it doesn't necessarily make sense right now, but let me draw it all together for you. We've only changed over time. We've never really looked up. It takes people around us who have a special relationship with themselves or are in tune with who and what they are to kind of tell us to also do the same. And it also takes people around us to help us understand how beneficial it can be and how beneficial it is, in order to make sure that we know that we must stay tuned in to who and what we are, not based upon what any man or woman thinks about us, but based upon the fact of exactly who and what we are. I have always been a huge proponent and a huge fan of people who are hell-bent on doing exactly what they want to do. I've always admired it because I have learned through this time in my life and experiencing different things throughout this life that it takes a special type of person in order to not give up on their dream, in order to not give up on the things that they are called to do, and also in order not to give up on themselves. It takes a special person for that. It takes a special human being in order to realize that you can't have the relationship that you want with yourself if you're going to be able to give that over to other people and have other people to be able to infringe upon what it is that you want to do. I know for a fact that this podcast for me isn't going to be forever, but I also know the relationship I have with myself at this time, right, where it stands, I need to be here with you all in order to be able to talk to you. That doesn't mean I'm coming down from an ivory tower. That doesn't mean I think of myself as more special than anybody who listens to me. That doesn't mean I think of myself as any better than anybody else. It just means that at this moment, this is the relationship that I have with you all, those who actually take the time to listen. The relationship I have with you is based upon where I'm at, not based upon where I'm going. It takes me to actually address these times and actually be in these times in order to be with you all. It takes me to have to really pay attention to you all and actually give to you my best, right? The best of who and what I am in order to be in this moment with you, because it would be unfair with you for me to tell you, have a great relationship with yourself, do great things for yourself, do these things for yourself, and I'm out here not doing that for myself. Reality states at this very moment, it's just more appealing for me to go dip my body in that water right behind me and be able to have a relationship with me in that ocean but reality states I came down for a purpose, and that's what I'm hell bent on. So I believe that having a better relationship, or having better relationships, also means having better relationship and formality when it comes down to your own purpose, when it comes down to who and what you are, when it comes down to what you believe in, when it comes down to how you want to operate. I totally believe, and I am a huge proponent of having a relationship with self first, right? I think a lot of times, because of the fact we have these moments within our life that we practically go throughout school, we go throughout our adult life, and we go throughout childhood, first and foremost, having relationships with everybody. We kind of are children and pure in our own right, and it would take a parent, somebody who's very much so in tune, to look at that child and have that child be totally in tune with themselves first, helping that child to really hone in on themselves. The problem with that is that most of the time when it comes to raising a child, you as an adult are still trying to get to that point too. You are also not there, right? You're also not there. So you as an adult are trying to raise the bar for yourself too. You're trying to get to a place and to a point in your life where you also kind of quote unquote have it together within yourself. But it does take a parent, and it does take the relationship between parent and child to be able to say, okay, my son, my daughter has a need in order to tune in with themselves. They have a need in order to be able to tune in with who and what they are. How do I help them reach that? Right? How do I help them have the balance to understand that it's cool to have friends, but it's better to have a friend within yourself? Right? Not to be a loner, but to understand their place when it comes to people. So they're not befalling to peer pressure, and they're not befalling to things that would accentuate them to a place of downership, right? And not ownership within themselves, right? Things that would place them into a spot where they can no longer accentuate to who and what they want to be, but they can only succumb to the things that they think they are based upon what they've been shown through their environment. There's a lot of people who have grown up a product of their environment, and have also grown up to understand that after they've grown up as a product of their environment, they have said, I no longer want to be a part of this, or they assimilate to it or go along with it, even though they know there's something better. Right? There's a lot of people that I grew up with or grew up around, they were popular, they were the dope boys, they were this and that. And the moment it came to a spot where they were going higher, they still had to come down, right, and make the guys or the people who were with them at that time feel like they didn't leave them. All the while they knew that they didn't need to be in those environments and didn't need to be in those places no more, because it was better out there. They also understood that what they were doing before was based upon them being a product, not necessarily being themselves, but being a product. So we have to understand that in some form or fashion, we do all assimilate, right? We all go to work. We all do different things. We all have a way of making money, right? So we assimilate to capitalism. And I don't want to jump too deep into that, but we all assimilate to something. And so because we do that, because we all come down to a place where we do all the same things in a sense, right? Just in different ways. It's kind of hard to say, well, how do you get to being yourself when we all kind of have to do the same thing to make money? Well, the truth is, and the harsh truth is, you have to understand that the money is not you. The money was a system made up by somebody who wasn't you. So you can make the money, but you don't have to let the money make you. I know that's a cliche statement, but that's the truth. You don't have to allow that money to be anything other than what it is. It's just greenbacks. It's paper, right? It has no value if a person or the people who created said system says it has no value. So the value that you hold is way above money. That's why the Bible says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, right? Because you should not be loving something that is like awfully befitting of the most evil spaces and darkest spaces of this earth and beyond this earth. You shouldn't be in that whatsoever. What you should be is totally in tune and tapped into who and what you want to be and how you want to do this thing called life, and how you want to be based upon the factor of what you want to do. Not because, Milton said it, just because of the fact it's the best thing to do. It is the right thing to do, to be totally in love with yourself and totally into what you're doing. I had a talk the other day, and the question came up was, how do you not care about other things? How do you not care about things? And it's not just people, but it's how do you not care about people, things, you know, the words were used. Well, how do you not give a F, right? Try not to cuss on this channel and stuff like that, but how do you not give a F, right? And it comes, my question came based upon the book, the subtle art of not giving a F, right? It came based upon that book because there's so many people out here. There's so many of you who watch this podcast. So many things that you care about that you have given yourself over to, thinking that you have to care about it, and you truly don't. Not in the sense that you don't have to care based upon the fact that they don't serve you or it's some da-da-da, but based upon the fact that you don't really have to care, because there is no true care. Genuine care is something when you totally divulge yourself into a certain thing, a person, a space, a place, right? Like if you totally care about something, you divulge yourself into it because like it's genuine, right? Like a genuine care. But when you really don't care about something, why do you give it your attention and your time, your space, your peace? And I think a lot of us do that is because we want to belong, or we also don't want to leave people behind, and we also don't want to make people feel as if they're not worthy, because we're chasing after a straw man of our own self-worth based upon how we feel like other people should be treated, how we want to be treated, and we want to have people be treated that way because we feel like, oh, if we didn't do that, how would we feel if that was us, and so we shouldn't leave people behind. The reality is, if you look around you, people are leaving others behind. And it's not because they don't care about people. It's not because they don't love you or don't whatever. It's because maybe, just maybe, that person was not meant to go with you all along. That person was not meant to be with you in that capacity anyway. And so some of us are trying to carry folks with us to certain levels, or try to carry, you know, certain levels of care with us to certain levels as well, in order to make it seem like, you know, well, shit, yeah, I go cussing. But we try to make it seem like, well, you know, if I carry these people with me, then I'm not such a bad person. I don't have such bad things to do. The reality, bad things for others to think about me. And the reality is, like, it don't matter, because at the end of the day, are you doing what you're called to do or not? Are you doing what you're meant to do or not? Like, are you out here, like, come on, like, think about this. How many of you take time out of your day to do something, not just for yourself in the sense of trying to repeat a cycle, but how many of you actually take time out of your day to do something totally erratic from the things of the mundane, right? Because doing for yourself in this capacity, in this light, in this time, in this moment, means that you have to be able to understand that it's gonna take you having to come outside of the shell of the people around you, and come out from the shell that you have probably put yourself in order to, quote unquote, protect the people around you. There are a lot of you out there who have big lights that are within you, and you are letting it be dimmed by people around you who cannot stand the light regardless. Maybe they were meant to stand to you at this time, but the moment the things got chipped off of you and broken off of you, and you started to get better, maybe they weren't meant to be there because they can't stand that moment. They can't be in that moment with you. And that is not your fault. It's not your fault. What is your fault is if you're totally aware, totally cognizant of what you're supposed to be doing, and you don't do it. Nice sounds of the traffic, huh? What is totally wrong is if you're totally aware of what you're supposed to be doing and where you're supposed to go, and you don't do it. Or if you hold yourself back, you're responsible for holding yourself back in order to make sure other people are comfortable around you. I'm here to tell you right now, there is nothing else in this world that will destroy you versus the things that you did not do. The things that you do won't destroy you as much as the things that you did not do. And I mean that on the dream perspective, not just on some ideological stuff. And if you understand anything about me already, you know, if I'm speaking about something and I'm saying something as an absolute, it has nothing to do with anything evil whatsoever. So the things that you did not do on this earth will destroy you. The regrets that you have. People on their deathbed has told more truth than they may have told in their entire life. Right. And if you go to look at any stories, if you just look for stories like that, I know maybe we don't think about those things because most of us are thinking about that next day, that next bill, that next. But if you really take the time out and look at people on their deathbed, or if you think back to maybe you spoke to somebody on their deathbed, you will realize that those people were sometimes either happy that they were in that spot because they were ready, or they were regretful they were in that spot, or sometimes they were just neither or, and they kind of just were giving up. But the reality is the people who were totally cognizant of what they did and did not do on this earth were regretful because they know they left things down here. They left things undone. Now, How do you have a better relationship with yourself? Lord have mercy. I think I just rambled for 14 minutes or 15 minutes, but how do you have a better relationship with yourself? I truly believe that a better relationship with yourself comes in the constitute of you cutting out all the BS. All the BS that you know that you do, all the BS that you know that you're about, all the BS that you know that you think, all the BS that you know you give yourself over to, the time that you spend doing the BS and all of that. It's time to cut that out. It's time to get real with yourself and say, I need to cut that out. I don't need to entertain that anymore. Even if it's diet, whatever it is, you have to get radical. You have to be okay being an anomaly. You have to be okay standing alone. You know, the better relationship that you build with yourself, the more alone that you'll realize that you actually are. The more that you walk this line, and other people are there to help you through those times. You realize people aren't meant to bear your cross forever, but they're meant to help you carry it just for a little while. And that will help you appreciate people a lot more, but it'll also help you appreciate your own journey and build up strength, because you will realize there's nobody around. And if you look your left, your right, some people have dropped their cross. Some people have dropped their cross. If you don't drop your cross and you keep carrying it and you keep doing what you're doing, you will have what's called self-respect, because you are finishing a race. You are finishing your job. You are finishing what you're supposed to do. You are going out there and you are attacking life. You're going for it. You're not wondering what's going to come next or how this is going to happen. You are taking it step by step. You're not worried about, how you're going to pay this bill and what you're going to do. You're not worried about the stuff of this world. You are more so focused on the things that you are meant to do. If you focus, I promise you this, and this is me breaking down, bump a script on a podcast, bump all of this stuff. If you focus on what you are meant to do in this life, if you focus on that and do that and take the steps to do that, I promise you 100%, whatever financial need that you have, it will come to you. I promise you, whatever financial need, not want, and all of this stuff, and sob and salah and living the high life, whatever financial need you want, it'll come to you. You don't have to chase it, right? The old mantra, if you build it, if they build it, it'll come. I forgot how it goes, but that old thing, right? It's that plus the fact that a lot of people, a lot of you here, a lot of people I see down here walking right now, going in the water, people with their kids. A lot of us have given up on ourselves, so we technically don't understand and don't know who and what we are, because we have only given ourselves the ability to know who and what we are based upon what we're surrounded with, versus standing in the middle of the surroundings that's with us and still being ourselves. I'm doing a podcast in the middle of down here. I know it's probably not special, but I'm not a news reporter. I have no press pass. I don't have credentials. I don't got the whatever qualifications. I ain't got the fancy this and that. I'm just a guy with a message, and I'm a dude who's doing what comes to his heart to do, and dude who's doing what comes to his mind to do, understanding that it ain't about the bread. It ain't about the number of people who are gonna listen. It ain't about the fact of how I'm gonna take advantage of this. It ain't none of that. What this is all about is how I can come out here and do what I'm called to do and be my best self and give you guys the best of me based upon where I'm at today, understanding that the financial needs that I have will also be met because I serve a God that is above all money, right? And I serve a God that is above all things, right? So I'm not worried about my left, my right, my up, my down. I'm not looking around me just because, I'm scared somebody gonna roll up on me and whatever. I'm looking around just because I like the environment. That's number one. But number two, it doesn't hurt also to be aware of your surroundings, okay? I believe in the Lord, but I also believe the Lord gave me a brain to be aware. So we have to come to a grip that building a relationship with ourselves means the admonishing and admonishing of the things around us that have nothing to do with the accentuation or growth of our brain, of our mind, of our spirit, of our heart, and our soul. We have to do that for each other, and we have to do that for ourselves, because the more people are who are in tune with themselves and who are in tune with this environment that we're in, the better that you will be, and the better that it will be, that we'll be able to come together as people, because we will understand the only reason we're coming together to help each other for a short time. But the key word is we're coming together to help. We're not coming together to hurt, to scam, to scheme. Like in any form of fashion, we're coming together to help each other. So because we come together to help each other, and because we come together in order to bring each other into a better light and bring each other into a better life and help each other to grow on the path of being ourselves, then we know for a fact that there's nothing that we can't do. There's nothing or nobody that we can't be. And the best person to be and the best thing to do is to be who and what you are. I'm going to keep preaching. I'm going to keep screaming it from the rooftops. Your destiny is calling you. Go after it. I love you. Peace, love, and chicken grease. On to the next episode.